ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to call the roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson Reinke. Here. Rote.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Excused.
Chaplesky.
Excused.
Haas.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
May.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
8 present, 2 excused.
We have a quorum. Alderman Reinke will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we have 6 items up for public hearing this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
A hearing on the improvement of West Montana Avenue from South 84th Street to South 88th Street, South 85th Street from West Montana Avenue to South Osage Avenue, and portions of intersecting streets by new concrete construction, miscellaneous sidewalk repair, new driveway approaches, miscellaneous driveway repair, storm sewer relay, sanitary sewer relay, building services, and utility adjustments.
Mr. Daniels.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Devine. So this is the public hearing for South 85th Street and West Montana Avenue. Here's the procedures for the hearing. First, I'll go through a PowerPoint and discuss the scope and the cost, and I'll also discuss the assessment rates and methods of payment. And then we'll have comments and questions from the Common Council and then from citizens affected. Then the public hearing will be closed, and the project will be referred to the Public Works Committee, and then they will vote, and then it will come back to the full council here for a final vote later tonight. Here are the project limits for 85th Street from Montana to Osage Avenue, and then Montana Avenue from 84th Street to 88th Street. Here's some pictures from 85th Street. The history on this is the subdivision was constructed in 1941 with essentially temporary seal coat roads, which were really just gravel covered with tar. So these roads that you're looking at here are 74 years old, and they're severely deteriorated at this point. Here's another picture of 85th Street. Like I said, it was kind of a temporary pavement, so they never installed curb and gutter on 85th Street to accommodate the drainage. The subdivision was then annexed into the city of West Allis from the rural town of Greenfield in 1954, but permanent concrete pavement was just never constructed. This is West Montana, similar age, 1941, so it's also 74 years old. The pavement has failed. There are actually far too many potholes to actually physically fill. Routine maintenance has become very difficult and expensive. And here's another picture of Montana. You got potholes at the top of potholes, and it's severely cracked into size of my fist or so. So this pavement is 74 years old, and it's reached the end of its life. And beyond that, the sewer underneath, some of that sewer is still from 1941, and it is also leaking and collapsing. You can see cracks, and these deposits are evidence of the leaking. This is one lateral that's almost completely blocked by deposits. So we will also be installing new storm sewer where it's not currently available. There are large segments of the street that don't have any storm sewer. There will be some sanitary sewer work for the sewer that was put in 1941. There will be some minor water main work. Most of the water main was put in 1967 and is okay. And then there'll be some new street lighting poles and cable. Those probably date to about 1968. So the project will include new concrete curb, concrete pavement, concrete carriage walks, and concrete driveways. This is what it'll look like when they're paving. Anyone who parks on the street will have to park on neighboring streets during construction. On-street parking permits won't be needed for this. The police will keep an eye on your car during the time that you're parked on the street. Project will also have several sustainability benefits. The gravel used will be a 100% recycled crushed concrete from old concrete pavements instead of mining new gravel from quarries. Recycled fly ash from electric plants will be used in the concrete to reduce mining for new cement by 30%. Any new asphalt on the job will be made from 20 to 35% old recycled asphalt pavements to reduce mining and drilling for new materials. And the new LED streetlights will reduce electricity use by 66%. The trees on the streets will be preserved. If need be, we would put an arc around the tree to give them a little more room. We're going to probably move the curb on Montana in a little bit to give the trees a little more room. Trees are good. Trees intercept the rainwater and help the runoff soak into the soil at a slower and more even rate. This takes pressure off our storm sewers and allows for the renewal of the groundwater. Trees also provide a host of other benefits, such as improved air quality, reduced temperatures in the summer, and increased property values. So we will definitely preserve the trees. This is what a typical new concrete road looks like, with new concrete surface, new curb and gutter, new driveways. The sidewalk would be repaired, but for the most part, the sidewalk will remain as it is today. The cost of the project, this is both streets together, would be $696,000 for the pavement. Street lighting will be $61,000. Sanitary sewer will be $540,000. Storm sewer will be $313,000, and the minor water main work would only be $37,000. So that's $1.6 million to do both streets. Now we're going to talk about special assessments. So for a typical 50-foot lot, the assessment rate is $87.81 per foot. So that adds up to $4,390 for a typical 50-foot lot. If you do have a driveway, which most people do, there would be an additional $6.57 for the concrete driveway replacement. But the bills will not be mailed out until March of 2016, not 2015, but 2016. And at that point, you would have payment options that would include a lump sum if you want to pay it off, or a 5-year plan, or a 10-year plan. So if you chose the 10-year plan, assuming 4% interest, your assessments would range from $615 the first year in 2016 to $457 for the whole year in 2025. Here's kind of the history of special assessments. For over 100 years, city residents have always historically paid the full cost of a new street in front of their property because they enjoy the unique benefit this improvement gives to their property. But the property owners on 85th and Montana have never paid for their street in the 74 years since the subdivision was built. It's probably because they still have kind of a temporary road. A few property owners on 85th and Montana have paid for minor sidewalk repairs or driveway approach repairs. There was a project in 1977, 1991, and then we had one in 2013, 2014, which affected a small amount of people. But the sidewalk work is not really planned with this project. We may have to do some sidewalk work if there's some sewer work nearby, but we're not taking all the sidewalk out. On this project, the city will collect $388,000 in special assessments, which comes to 56% of that $696,000 for the pavement that I referenced before. The assessment rate is $87.81 per foot for all residential properties anywhere in the city, no matter how wide your street is or how high the traffic volumes are or how high the actual bid prices are. Everyone is treated equally with that $87 per foot. Special assessments are also the only way to ensure that tax-exempt schools, churches, charities, hospitals, county parks, utilities, railroads pay their fair share too. No one is exempt from special assessments, even though there are 430 properties in the city that do not pay any property taxes. And many of these are large. Many of these tax-exempt schools, churches, hospitals, and county parks are very large properties and only contribute to the city's costs through special assessments. So for example, Grace Christian Academy is a very large property, and they will be paying $35,000 in special assessments, even though they do not pay any property taxes. Likewise, businesses, corporations, and manufacturers pay a higher assessment rate to ensure they contribute their fair share, and their assessment rate is $109 to $131 per foot. This is a map of everyone who's actually paid a special assessment in the past 10 years. So you can see that almost all West Allis residents have paid their fair share for their street or the alley at least once, twice, or even 3 times in the history of the city. But in this particular subdivision, the property owners at 85th and Montana have never paid for their street in 74 years since the time their subdivision was built, although they did pay for sidewalk repair and driveway repairs. So most West Allis residents have even paid for their street or alley in the last 10 years, and guaranteed 100% of the rest have paid over the last 74 years. So everyone is paying their fair share, no doubt about that. This is an explanation of the interest rate. The city does borrow the funds for this project, and the city pays the interest to these municipal bondholders over the next 10 years. So if you choose the 5 or 10-year installment plan, the city is not making a profit off that 4% interest. We're just passing along the interest that we have to pay our bondholders. And that's the end of my presentation. If there's any comments, they will be heard now.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Are there questions or comments from the Common Council? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that has questions or comments? If you do, we ask that you use the podium up front here, and we ask that you start out by giving us your name and address just for our records. Does anybody have any questions or comments from the audience on this item? Okay, come on up.
I'm Kathy Lyons. I live at 2862 South 85th. Where do we park? On the streets adjoining?
Yes, yeah, you can park around the corner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay, and are the sewers going to be big enough to handle the load?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
there was a problem when they did Osage with the sewers, I believe. Because they had a lot of flooding there after you put in the new sewer.
Well, yeah, if we get a 100-year storm, I mean, we can't build a sewer big enough to accommodate.
Because we've never had any problems.
Yeah.
Okay, but those are the only things I had to say. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Does anybody else in the audience have questions or comments?
Hey, how you doing? Bill Belangi. I live on 8514 West Montana. I don't have any prepared statements. I didn't even think I was going to talk when I came to this meeting. I wanted to come and see what was going on. I bought the house in July this last summer, and to my surprise, getting this bill was a little shocking, to say the least. And my reaction, you make a very convincing argument. I mean, it's hard to argue with some of the your presentation that you have here. All good stuff. My thought is, this is great. How much is it going to add to the property value at my particular house? Me personally, I didn't buy the house because, there was a nice street or there wasn't a nice street. That really made no factor into that. So that's one question that I have.
I guess
Any
we'd have
comments
to,
on the
we'd
value?
have to ask the city assessor. I don't know how they would look at that.
Question 2, and this is just a thought in my mind, my pedestrian thoughts coming to a council meeting here. Is there any way to consider delaying the project for a year or two, giving us some sort of a warning order, so to speak, so we can maybe be prepared for taking a look at this? I understand that 2016, the bills are going to be mailed. However, this does kind of factor into financial concerns and stuff like that. So that would be my other comment.
We're already designing it, I guess. I mean, if it gets voted down, we can talk about that later. But we're trying. You may have noticed that Stuth and 91st and some of those other streets have been done. We're trying to space out the work. We've been working over the past 10 years to kind of do the whole subdivision. That would kind of delay all that, I guess. But that's up to the council, I guess.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions, comments?
Hi, My name's John Simon. I live on 2855 South 85th. I'm just wondering if you have the dates.
Yeah, we'll probably get started in May, and it'll go through August or September for sure, depending on the weather. And so yeah, I can't give you exact dates, but we have to go through the design and go out for bid and get the bidders. And so there's a lot that has to happen yet, but we're shooting for May, and it would take a few months to get done. So the sewer work, you'll be able to get into your driveway for the first month or so, because when they're digging a hole for the sewer, they're not disturbing the rest of the street. It's when they start pouring the concrete, like I had the picture there, where you have to stay off until that concrete gets hard. So the paving part at the end, you'll have to park on a side street or something.
Any idea how long a time it would be that we won't be able to use our garages?
I would say a month. Yeah.
They originally told me 2 weeks. Now you're saying a month.
Well, it depends on the weather. I mean, there's a lot of things that it depends on.
There's a big lot up there on that Grace Church.
Yeah.
Any way that we could get permission to park up there?
Well, that's a good idea. We can talk to them.
Somebody
I haven't talked to them yet, but that's a very good idea.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yep.
Margaret Kozlowski, 8532 West Montana. I have a question. This subdivision is mainly elderly people. In any of these projects, has any consideration ever been given to senior citizens who are on a super fixed income, as myself? I live on Social Security. And no consideration has ever been given in any of these projects for senior citizens, especially people on fixed incomes?
That's why we have the 10-year payment plan.
I could be dead in 10 years. What happens if, with the cost, does this get passed on to the person buying my house when I sell?
We don't care who pays, the buyer or the seller. That's something that you negotiate when you sell the house. If the buyer wants to pay it, they can pay it. We don't care where the money comes from. That's up to you. So totally up to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions, comments?
I'm Jeannie Goza. I'm on the corner of 2801 West Montana. I don't want to get all emotional, but I'm on the corner and I'm hit with over $12,000. I'm a single mom. And I was looking at equity in my home. I have a little girl right here. And over 10 years I was planning it. And I'm just emotional right now. I don't even know what to say because I'm a single mom just barely making it, and I'm living here with my little girl, and then I'm on the corner and I get double hit for $12,000 estimated. And then I have to pay, and if I sell it, I don't understand. I have to come up with the money. I'm trying to build equity in my house. And now there goes all the equity. I've been there for like 7 years, and there goes all my equity because my property value went down again. And I just think it's unfair. And then you're going to give me 10 years at 4% interest. I have great credit. I could probably get it at 0% interest, but give me 10 years. I don't think I should have to pay interest on this. And we do need a new street. I understand that. But to put new curbs, why do I have to pay for the curbs? I don't understand that. That's part of the street. I just don't understand it. And then new driveway entrance, my driveway entrance is fine. And I don't understand that my neighbor, hers is less and mine's over $1,300 and we have the same size driveway. I don't understand where this difference is. But I'm on the corner, so I got double hit. I'm sorry, I'm just emotional right now over this. Thank you.
Does anybody else have questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we will close our first public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
A hearing on the special use permit for the Wisconsin Humane Society for a proposed spay and neuter clinic to be located at 9400 West Lincoln Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stiebel, when you're ready.
The next public hearing on 9400 block of Lincoln Avenue is the Humane Society proposing to lease this facility. Because it's a veterinary clinic, it's in a C2 district, it requires a public hearing because of the special use, and that's why we're having this hearing tonight. They're going to be leasing about 5,500 space or square feet. They'll be doing approximately 30 cats and dogs per day, ultimately up to a volume of about 50 per day. Hours of operations are Monday through Friday, and there's no regular weekend hours. Typically there'll be no overnight dogs in the facility. There'll be a substantial penalty if somebody fails to pick up their animal at the appointed time. 18 parking spaces will be required as part of this use, and 37 are provided on site. The outdoor relief area for the animals will be on the outside of the building, on the south side of the building in this area here. This window will be replaced and a door will be put in there. And then it'll be screened by a 6-foot cedar fence and then a buffer of landscaping bed put around there. The interior of that will be pea gravel or artificial turf. The animals won't be out there only with another handler when they're out there, so they won't be just running around wild out there. Also, significant landscaping improvements will be required, particularly on the south, west, and this portion of the site. The Plan Commission has reviewed this proposal, has recommended approval, and we received no objections to date. If you have any additional questions, I or a representative of the developer would be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there questions from the council on this item?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Weigel.
I just wanted to verify a conversation, John, that I had with staff. Although the Humane Society will be operating this property, it will still belong to a private developer, so it will still remain taxable. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman May.
John, can you explain to me what the landscaping is going to be like at the corner of National and Lincoln? I see the arborvitae kind of going around it. It's kind of a prominent corner. What are we doing to keep it looking good?
You mean this area here?
Yeah, that area there.
Yes, that will be significantly landscaped, as well as the potential sign area located in here. There are also, which I forgot to mention, there's some of these old light poles that were out there. I think there's 3 of them. I think the plan is also to come back and to put some kind of whimsical art on those features to help add some additional interest to the site.
Any other questions from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Reinke.
John, the people that lease this building at the present time, will they need a special use permit if they ever decide to add a kennel to the building?
Yes, they would. And I'm not sure a kennel would even be allowed in this zoning district. But if it was, they would need another special use.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, other questions or comments from the audience?
My name is Linda Gatton. I live at 2469 South 80th Street. My husband Gary and I have lived in West Allis for over 35 years and have been block watch captains for over 2 decades. We strongly support the Wisconsin Humane Society opening their spay-neuter clinic in West Allis. The Wisconsin Humane Society has served the greater Milwaukee area well for over 135 years. It is an incredible community-minded organization with an amazing track record in saving animals' lives. Last year alone, 10,206 pets found new homes through the WHS. Its Spay-Neuter Assistance Program, or SNAP, has helped provide high-quality, low-cost sterilization surgery to the general public, with a special focus on animals living in underserved areas. The need for this program is so great that clients often have to wait months to get an appointment. In addition, the WHS operates a trap-neuter return program called the Community Cat Caregivers. This program helps end the breeding of potentially unwanted cats, controls cat colony size, and stops many nuisance cat behaviors. According to the No Kill Advocacy Center, research shows that an investment in a high-volume spay-neuter program not only provides immediate public health and public relations benefits, but also long-term financial savings to a jurisdiction as well. Reductions in animal intakes, fewer animals euthanized, and fewer field calls associated with free roaming, unaltered animals have been reported in communities which have invested in spay-neuter programs. The neutering and release of feral cats has an immediate, immeasurable life-saving impact in addition to immediate cost savings. The MADC, the Milwaukee Area Domestic Animal Control Commission, their 2015 budget reveals that between 2011 and 2013, 2,141 animals were handled from the city of West Allis for a member billing of $122,164.51. And that is second in the county. The only city that has a greater amount is the city of Milwaukee. If we have a dedicated spay-neuter clinic right here in our city, it would certainly help save lives and save money. The Wisconsin Humane Society receives almost no government funding and is not affiliated with any national welfare organization. Because of generous donors, it is able to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome thousands of animals every year. We have an incredible opportunity to make a difference for the animals in our community. Please approve the Wisconsin Humane Society's request to open their new spay and neuter clinic in West Allis. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else with questions or comments?
My name is Erin Applegate, and I live at 2405 South 80th Street, and I support this. I think it'll be very beneficial for our community and help with the number of stray animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions or comments on this item?
Hi, my name's Sheila Applegate. My address is 2405 South 80th Street, and I support this as well. I think that's very good use of that facility for this purpose.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions or comments on this item? Okay, we will close our second public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 3.
A hearing on the special use permit for Cream City Clay, a proposed pottery studio with classes to be located at 7105 West Greenfield Avenue.
Mr. Stevel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This public hearing is for Cream City Clay, which is going to be a pottery store, and we're excited about having such a new entrepreneurial person wanting to open up this kind of a facility in our downtown area. Because it's going to have classes, it requires a special use, and that's the purpose of the hearing this evening. The hours of operation are going to be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then 5 p.m. to 10 on week or evenings, and 10 to 4 on Saturdays. Class sizes are going to range from about 10 to 20 students, and the frequency of the classes are 33 adults and 12 children per year. And there'll be approximately 10 staff on site at all times. All the parking is provided by the city municipal parking lot behind. There'll be about 40% of this facility will be designed for classrooms, 40% will be designed for artistic studios, and they'll lease membership or sell memberships of to 8 to 15 artists that can have their shops in there, and then 20% will be set aside for a resale shop for equipment and artwork, etc. The Plan Commission has reviewed this recommendation and has recommended approval. And if you have any questions, I or the representative of the owner would be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there questions from the council?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel?
I'd just like to comment that I met with this proposed business owner, and John was correct in the entrepreneurial spirit that this young woman is showing. She's starting a new business in our downtown. It's going to be a combination of commerce and art. Speaking to the other business owners in the downtown, we're very excited to see this kind of, it's not really, it's kind of a new thing for the downtown. We're interested to see it. That along with Inspiration Studios around the corner on 73rd Street, we're starting to see a little bit more of an art feel, and it's something that maybe the downtown's been lacking recently. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 3, and I will ask clerk to read public hearing number 4.
A hearing on the special use permit for within reason resale and consignment, a proposed secondhand article retail store to be located at 1588 South 81st Street.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the northeast corner of 81st Street, Lapham, is this existing building. And many of you may remember that former Mayor Joyce Radke had a flower shop at the same location. It's about 500 square feet of this first floor being rented of two businesses, and there's 2 residences above. The hours of operation are 7 days a week, 8 to 8. And the biggest issue that we have with resale shops is that donations, some people drop them off and then just leave them, and they pile up around the building. And that is being prohibited in this. And also, I might want to mention that we have entered a moratorium on more resale shops until we consider what zoning districts we really want to have them in. Also, in this particular site, in the area, the dumpster is not contained. If this is to go forward, they'd have to have encase the dumpster on 4-sided. And there's also a portion, unpaved area that we do not allow gravel for a parking lot, so that will have to be paved. The Plan Commission has reviewed this, has recommended approval subject to those conditions, and we've received no objections to date. If you have additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there questions or comments from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Probst.
John, this corner is kind of a busy corner. I'm looking at the parking situation. You've got a church across the street that already has some parking issues when they have services on Sunday. You've got a daycare center, kitty corner as well, across from the liquor store. That's over there. I'm just wondering whether or not there's enough parking for the number of people that could be coming to this area at any one given time. They're open at 8 o'clock, 7 days a week. They're going to run into the church traffic.
You are correct on that. This is it's a busy commercial area. The city is blessed with a lot of older historic commercial nodes that have a lot of intensive uses, as does this. We've reviewed it. There's only 4 parking spaces in the rear of this building, so all of the parking's going to have to, most of the parking will be on-street parking, but because of the surrounding uses and the potential peak times of uses of this building, they're probably going to be fairly compatible. I mean, there's still going to be some traffic issues, and we will continue to watch that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the council?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
Quick question for John. I know we have a problem with these resale shops, typically when they're connected to a nonprofit, whether it's a veterans organization or Salvation Army. But this isn't that. This is actually a business. Is that correct?
Most of them are.
Okay, I understand a lot that model's been coming along lately. So I guess the idea, if someone is going to just drop their stuff off for free, when they could conceivably put it there on consignment. That'd be kind of dumb of them to do that. I mean, yes, I'm all in favor of the ban of stuff being left there on the curb. I know it's Sunday night when people don't sell everything at the rummage sale. It ends up there Monday morning. So I think the business owners should be aware that I live 6 or 8 blocks away from there, and I'll make that my normal Monday morning walk to go by there. And if there's a problem with bags of leftovers there, that we'll be on them. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, we will close public hearing number 4. And I will ask clerk to read public hearing number 5.
A hearing on the special use permit for a proposed auto dealership for Maserati Alfa Romeo to be located at 10221 West Arthur Avenue.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. International Autos, which has a number of car dealerships right across the street, the BMW and the Audi being the most notable, is going to be taking this on. And they're going to be bringing the Maserati from Waukesha into West Allis, which is a nice tribute to the city. And the Alfa Romeo is going to be a new line that has not been had in this area. They'll be adding about 25 employees to the facility, and they'll be making about a $500,000 improvement to the facade of the building. Because this is an auto dealership in a C4 district, it requires a special use, and that's the purpose of the hearing tonight. The facility will be currently 34,000, but that's going to be reduced to about 31. I'll talk about that in a minute. And there's an existing 4,000 square foot outdoor parcel here. Also, on the architectural changes, they're going to be removing the front part of this building and constructing a very modern, very futuristic showroom with aluminum composite panels and glass. I think it's going to be very sharp and very showy in this particular site. It's going to really, I think, enhance the image of that particular corridor. Also, the hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and there'll be ample parking on the site. We also have a requirement for 20% landscaping in all car dealerships, and these buffer zones will be between 5 and 8 feet and a larger area in the frontage here to accommodate that. And then they'll also be doing some tree plantings in these islands. The Plan Commission has reviewed this and has recommended approval. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the audience on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing 5, and I will ask our clerk to read public hearing number 6.
A hearing on the special use permit for a proposed church, Metropolitan Church of Christ, to be located at 9413 West Greenfield Avenue.
Mr. Stiebel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Greenfield Avenue in 95th Street is an existing building known as Big Dogs, and it's going to be the back part of the building in the middle here that's going to be leased out for a church. The 3,300 square feet, they'll be entered from the middle of the building, or the middle of the back of the building, and there'll be parking here. 28 parking stalls are provided on site. 104, just by the sheer nature of this area, would be required, but because this is a historically parking impacted area, we're going to waive those parking requirements. Fortunately, the church usage on Sundays 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. is not going to be a heavy impactor on the usage of a tavern, so the commingling of their parking is going to be a very good. The potential conflict is 6:30 to 8:30. That shouldn't be much of a major problem. There are 2 other commercial uses on this site, audiovisual, and then a vacant tenant. I think there used to be a dance studio in there before. It's under existing site and landscaping plan, and they've taken very good care of the site and landscaping. The Plan Commission has reviewed this, has recommended approval, and we've received no objection to date. If you have additional questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Stiebel. Are there any questions or comments from the Common Council on this item? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the members of the audience on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close our final public hearing, and we will move on to item E on your agendas, which is citizen participation. This is a chance for residents to address the council on any matter of interest to them. We ask that you try to keep your comments to approximately 5 minutes. Does anybody wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Chet Parker, own the building at 7140 West Greenfield Avenue. On Tuesday evening, February 10th, the West Allis Downtown Business Improvement District is having their annual town hall meeting at Steakhouse 100 on the corner of 73rd and Greenfield from 5:30 to 7 p.m. We will have a presentation of past accomplishments and our plans for 2015. So if you have an interest in what's happening in your downtown, come join us. Everyone is welcome.
Thank you very much.
February 10th.
Does anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation? Okay, we will close citizen. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My name is Alan Henninger. I live at 2436 South 64th Street. Does the city have any plans to resurface the north-south arteries, 60th and 68th Street anytime soon?
Off the top of my head, I know we have a 5-year and 10-year capital improvement plan, but I don't know if that's included. The gentleman who did the presentation on the road surfacing project is in the hallway. He may have a better idea. Otherwise, we can talk at recess and I can get back to you.
And another question, mostly minor, about streets. On the parkways, there's fire hydrants, and they sit in front of certain, anybody's home. Who's responsible for clearing that, like we had the blizzard on Sunday? I usually clear it, but it's on my neighbor's property line. Is there any thing that says there's an ordinance that the property owner should
Well,
clear?
we do have an adopt a hydrant program, and we always encourage residents to keep them clear in front of their homes or near their homes for obvious reasons. I can see the fire chief right over your shoulder too, looking at me.
Well, I know that the firemen don't have time to be digging out fire hydrants, especially when you have like a blizzard like
You don't,
we had.
yeah, you don't want that delay.
And lastly, is the city planning on the on-street parking, overnight on-street parking, and increasing the permit fee from 12, I think it's $12.52 a month?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Does the person pay that monthly or annually?
I believe it's either way.
Quarterly?
I'm sorry, Alderman Vitale?
For 6 months.
Every six, all right. And finally, for a single-family residence, how many vehicles can they park on the street? Overnight, that is.
On the street, I don't know if we have a limit.
Oh, all right. What about commercial vehicles? I have this neighbor who works for heating and air conditioning. He's got this giant van that's like a mobile billboard. It has the name of the company, and it's a ugly blue and yellow vehicle. And I just wondered, is there an ordinance against commercial vehicles advertising their?
I'm pretty sure there is, but I can probably tell you too that it's not the top priority of our police department to enforce it compared to what else they're looking at.
Basically, I think you've answered all my questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Does anybody else have questions or comments for citizen participation? Okay, we will close citizen participation. We will go on to item F on your agendas. Our standing committees will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on your agendas on page 2. Move on to item G, the mayor's report. I just have a few things I want to mention this evening. I want to make a few comments about the snow plowing operation this past weekend with the blizzard that we had. It was a very difficult storm to manage, and with the snow falling constantly for 24 hours combined with 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, it was very difficult for our crews to keep up. And as we worked on the main streets, they kept blowing back over and resulting in more and more going back over the main streets, which delayed them getting into the residential sections, as I'm sure many of you are aware. When they did get into the residential sections, they were met with way too many illegally parked cars, which led them to not be able to get through on certain streets, meaning they had to back up and come around from another angle, which delayed them even more. We did ticket as much as we could, but again, I'm sure we did not get to any of the, every car. There were 4 sections out of 31 that were looked at by the superintendent, and he found over 220 illegally parked cars. So we did declare a snow emergency. We did try to get that word out as much as possible, but it still was very difficult. That being said, I do want to commend and thank all the drivers that came in on Sunday and worked through the night, doing many long hours. I definitely got more compliments and more positive feedback than I did complaints, and I just want to give accolades to our Public Works Department on what I would call a job well done under a very difficult circumstance. Excuse me. Shifting gears here, this coming Saturday, the Community Alliance Against Drugs is going to be holding their annual Winter Fest at Nathan Hale High School. If you're looking for a family event, I believe it is free for CAD members. Non-members are $5 and $3 for children. They are going to have inflatable toys, bouncy houses, a DJ, face painting. The pool will be open. You have to bring your own towel and lock. There's going to be food available, and they do this at New Year's Eve, and they also do this one in February. So there is information on the city website if you are interested in bringing your family out to that Saturday evening. I also want to mention Sunday, March 8th, is the Crime Stoppers annual bowl-a-thon. They do a fundraiser bowl-a-thon every year that helps them replenish their reward fund. They do a lot of good work in the community with generating tips on incidents of vandalism and a lot of property crimes and things. A lot of times they do work within our school system. They have a very good track record of getting tips that solve crimes. Again, we'll get this on our website, but it is at Serb Hall, and it's on Sunday, March 8th. There are 3 sessions of bowling, and it's $15 per bowling. Lunch will be catered by Rupina's Fine Foods. And lastly, I don't want to steal Alderman May's thunder, but Rose Hill, we have one more neighborhood association that is on our agenda this evening, sponsored by Alderman May and Barzak. This is the 3rd one that we have going, and there are 2 other groups in the formative stage right now. If you are interested in putting something together in your neighborhood, we'd strongly encourage you to do so throughout the city. It's a great way to get to know your neighbors, to make your neighborhoods more vibrant, to make your neighborhoods safer, and to get to know your neighbors that may have moved in recently, and really just generates a stronger community spirit and much more vibrant and active neighborhoods. We do have a brochure also on the city website that is available, and we've done presentations in certain areas with groups of neighbors, and they've put together block parties, and it's really open to interpretation as to what you want to see in your neighborhood, but I ask that you consider that. That concludes the mayor's report this evening. Do we have any reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman May?
I want to thank you for saying that. Actually, I got quite a few things on my own here. I want to thank everyone who came out to the Highway 100 meeting about a week ago with DOT and informed them of your wishes to not have Highway 100 widened. I talked to an alderperson in Wauwatosa because DOT the week earlier held a meeting there, and I was told it was very sparse turnout. Our meeting here in West Allis for Highway 100, it was a good crowd the entire night, so I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out, and thank you, Mayor, for being there as well. Again, the Rose Hill neighborhood's getting going. We're really proud of you. Looking forward to seeing that get going. The Rainbow Gardens Neighborhood Association, they're currently pouring an ice rink. We were out last night pretty late, ran into a problem with some water seeping out. That's where I'm heading after this. We're going to layer on the clothes and keep going at it. So we might have a second ice rink here in the city, which is really great. And then lastly, tomorrow I'll be at Nathan Hale. Mayor, you'll be there as well. For a civics course where we're going to be talking about local governments and being involved. So looking forward to that. And with that, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports from the alderpersons this evening?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of January 20th, 2015.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Ranke. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I'll ask for a motion to refer items 8 and 9 to the city attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Weigel, second by Alderman Probst. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Standing committee reports, License and Health Committee, Alderman Rote.
Mayor Devine. I refer everyone to items 10 through 23 on tonight's agenda. 10 through 19 were unanimously recommended to be placed on file. 20 was approved, subject to necessary requirements, and 21 and 23 were for approval. I move for the approval in accordance with the committee's report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Probst. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings. Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess.